In this video, I'm going to go over quiz 4, which is about comma splices and run-on sentences. When we have two sentences that run into each other without punctuation, this is known as a run-on sentence. When we connect two or more independent clauses with only a comma, this is known as a run-on sentence. So a run-on sentence is when you connect two or more independent clauses in one sentence with only an unnecessary comma. So here's an example of a comma splice. Jack is from France. He loves to speak French. So here you have an unnecessary comma. That's known as a comma splice. John went to the store. He bought groceries. So there's no period over here. So that's known as both a run-on sentence and as a fused sentence. So run-on sentences can be fixed by adding a semicolon or a comma and a coordinating conjunction, and by inserting a comma and a coordinating conjunction, and by inserting a semicolon. So here are some examples of how we can, so all of these sentences: Jack is from France, he loves to speak French. John went to the store, he bought groceries. These are all incorrect because of incorrect punctuation. So we fix the sentences by adding a period. John went to the store, period, he bought groceries. You add a comma and a coordinating conjunction. John went to the store, comma, and he bought groceries. Or we add a semicolon. John went to the store, semicolon, he bought groceries. So these are the different ways in which you can fix comma splices and run-on sentences. But what exactly is a comma splice? A comma splice is when you join two sentences with only a comma. A comma splice occurs when two or more sentences, dependent clauses, are in one sentence without punctuation. Actually, it's when two or more independent clauses are in one sentence without punctuation. A comma splice is when you connect two or more independent clauses in one sentence with only a comma. I just said that 5 times. Examples of a comma splice. John is smart, comma. So this is the same thing that I just said up here. If you place just a comma between two sentences, that becomes a comma splice. That's not correct. So what you want to do to correct this is you want to go like this. You put a period. Now it's correct. It's still incorrect because then you've got to capitalize he loves to speak French. Now that's correct. So that's how we fix run-on sentences. And run-on sentences are very common error in a lot of the essays that I see. And so how do we correct a comma splice sentence? So to fix a comma splice, you add a coordinating conjunction after the comma. So here you have incorrect. Robert loves steak, comma. So when you have a comma in between two sentences, that's not correct. That's known as a comma splice. So we correct this by adding a comma and a conjunction, coordinating conjunction. So this becomes a compound sentence. Remember from last times, you have one dependent clause, fanboys, and then another independent clause. This becomes a compound sentence. This is correct. Robert loves steak, semicolon. He is also fat. This is also a compound sentence. So we fix the run-on sentence by getting rid of the comma and putting a semicolon there. So we replace the comma with a semicolon. Other examples of how to fix comma splice sentences: you can add a period in between two sentences. You can add a coordinating conjunction and a comma, and then you add a semicolon. Okay, so that's how you fix run-on sentences. And so what are some examples of a run-on sentence that's in your quiz? So in your quiz, you're going to have this as an example of a run-on sentence. Albert Einstein was born in Germany. He became a U.S. citizen in 1940. Why is this a run-on sentence? Because there's missing a period after Germany. Because after you have a complete idea, you have an independent clause. Albert Einstein was born in Germany. Where's the period? Okay, so when you're missing that period, that's how you get the run-on sentences. So other grammar books will call this a fused sentence. Fused meaning these two sentences are fused together when they're not supposed to be. So how do we fix a fused sentence? Same way as we fix this sentence, okay? It's always the same. So here you could add a period after Germany. Alfred Einstein was born in Germany, period. Or you add a coordinating conjunction and a comma. So you would say Alfred Einstein was born in Germany, comma, and he became a U.S. citizen. Or you add a semicolon and you say Albert Einstein was born in Germany, semicolon, he became a U.S. citizen in 1940. And so here you have an example of another example of a comma splice, which is also in your quiz. Albert Einstein was born in Germany. He became a U.S. citizen in 1940. It's the same thing as before. So anyway, here you have two sentences joined together only by a comma. Therefore, this is a comma splice. Here's another example of a comma splice in your quiz. Albert Einstein developed the most famous formula, comma, it says E equal mc squared. That's not correct because here, instead of a comma, you need to put a period, and then you need to capitalize it. So how do we fix this comma splice? Because here you have two sentences fused together with an unnecessary comma. That's known as a comma splice. So how do we fix this sentence? So Albert Einstein developed the most famous formula, period. It says E equal mc squared. Now that's the correct way to write this sentence. Or you add a coordinating conjunction. Here you say comma and coordinating conjunction. So Albert Einstein developed the most famous formula, comma, and it says E equals mc squared. Or you add a semicolon between the two sentences. Albert Einstein developed the most famous formula, semicolon, it says E equals mc squared. So to summarize, there are two kinds of run-on sentences. You have comma splice, in which you have an unnecessary comma, and you have fused sentences where you have no period. Okay, so this, and both of these, fused sentence and comma splices, are all considered run-on sentences. Here's another example from your quiz. Albert Einstein received the 1921 Nobel Peace Prize in Physics for his work physics, which led to the quantum theory. So this is incorrect because here you have no period. Okay, so Albert Einstein received his Nobel Peace Prize in Physics for his work in physics. So here you have the correct sentence. Einstein, subject, received, verb, the Nobel Peace Prize, object. Then you have a comma, which led to the quantum theory. So here, which led to the quantum theory, you should have a comma here. And then which led to the, that means that this was correct. Yeah. So anyway, so this is the correct sentence. Here, comma splice. He is a favorite model for depictions of mad scientists and absent-minded professors. His excessive face and distinctive hairstyle have been widely copied and exaggerated. So there is an unnecessary comma between the two here. Between these two sentences, you have an unnecessary comma. So how do we fix this? He is a favorite model for depictions of mad scientists and absent-minded professors. So you add a semicolon. His expressive face and distinctive hairstyle have been widely copied. And who are we talking about? We're talking about Albert Einstein. Okay, Albert Einstein. Actually, we're talking about Albert Einstein, in case you're wondering. In the quiz, they just say he. But in case you're wondering who's the he, we're talking about Albert Einstein, okay? So Albert Einstein is a favorite model for depictions of mad scientists and absent-minded professors. Semicolon. His expressive face and distinctive hairstyle have been widely copied and exaggerated. So we fix this comma splice in which you have an unnecessary comma. We add a semicolon. Here we add a comma and a coordinating conjunction between the two sentences in order to make it correct. He is a favorite model of mad scientists, comma, and his expressive face. Okay, and then here's another example of a run-on sentence. Albert Einstein was a German-born theoretical physicist. His work is also known for its influence on the philosophy of science. And so here you have two sentences with no period. So Albert Einstein, here, right here, you need a period, or you need a comma or a semicolon, or a comma and a coordinating conjunction. So that's where it's missing a period, missing punctuation. So how do we fix this run-on sentence? Add a semicolon. So here you got the blinking light here. We add a semicolon. And so after physicist, so Albert Einstein was a German-born theoretical physicist, semicolon. His work is also known for its influence on the philosophy of science. Or you have after physicist, comma, and then you have a coordinating conjunction. So remember, coordinating conjunction, fanboys, for, and, nor, or, but, so, yet. Okay, those are, so here I'll put in fanboys. So any coordinating conjunction will work. Fanboys. So any coordinating conjunction, if you put in a comma and any of these coordinates, as long as it makes sense within the sentence. So, but his work is also known for its influence on the philosophy of science. So that's correct. And you could also add a period. I think that's what's missing. Yeah, that's what's missing. Okay, so here you can add a period between the two sentences. So you would have Albert Einstein was a German-born physicist, period. His work is also known for its influence on the philosophy of science. There you go. So those are three ways in which you can fix a run-on sentence. So this ends this video on sentence structure, comma splice, and run-on and how to fix run-on sentences. If you have any questions, feel free to email me anytime.